Ladies and gentlemen, let's game into the video. Are Microsoft preparing for a life after Xbox? Wedbush securities analyst Michael Pachter is pretty sure that soon it will be obsolete, and he believes that even Microsoft themselves know this. During GamesBeat 2014 in San Francisco, he was speaking to the moderator Jeff Knightley, and Pachter believes and explained that he thought Microsoft was going to start shifting its gaming focus from consoles to PCs and mobiles. He said, and I quote, "I think consoles are going to go away because you used to need a console because you couldn't connect a microprocessor to your TV screen. Now you have Chromecastic or a Roku box, so you can. So why buy a console? I mean, your phone will be powerful enough to power any games in 2 more generations, so why would you buy a console?" I think Microsoft actually knows that. Now, I know what you might be thinking to yourselves, well, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. You know, Microsoft have said time and time again that they're in it for the long haul. The thing is, I don't think that the Xbox One's going to go away. This is not what he's saying. He's not saying those of us, including myself, who have just bought an Xbox One, oh shit, you've made the wrong decision. What he's actually saying is that, let's just call it the Xbox 2, at most will exist. You know, we might see the Xbox 2 or whatever Microsoft ended up bloody well calling it. I really don't like the Xbox One's name, even still. It makes an absolute bugger to try and find the original Xbox hardware. But still, whatever they end up calling the next Xbox, let's just, for the lack of other name, call it the Xbox 2. That might exist. But in the future after that, probably not. Smartphones are becoming increasingly more powerful, and it won't be long. I mean, look, the Tegra currently from Nvidia is about as powerful in terms of raw GPU performance as, let's say, the Xbox 360 and PS3. It's still lacking in some areas, but it's getting there. One of the key problems right now when it comes to mobile gaming is basically power and shrinking things down. We're not small enough yet, quite simply put. When things get smaller, maybe 16 nm, something around those lines, and we can start figuring, especially battery technology is lacking a little. If we can improve on those areas, then certainly. So theoretically, what we're discussing here isn't, oh look, we're playing on a smartphone, but no, you're probably going to plug your phone device or whatever into a dock next to your TV, and then you'll have a couple of controllers, and that will be it. That'll be the way that a lot of console games are played, and then you've got the PC where the technology is just moving so bloody quickly at the moment. People just, they know, developers already know that the PC's well ahead. Even Court Stratton, if I remember, I'll link it in the video description, but it's currently featured on RedGamingTech.com anyways, pretty much on the main page. If not, you can search on RedGamingTech.com Court Stratton of Sony's Ice Team on PS4 being out of date. And he even mentioned, look, the PS4 is out of date hardware-wise, but developers are going to get the most out of the software and the hardware, because that's what they do. So yes, the hardware is out of date, but they're going to push the hardware the most they can, and he basically cited, look at the first generation of PS3 games and then look at the last generation of PS3 games, and you can see the difference, which is a fair point. But at the end of the day, the hardware is still, well, out of date compared to a high-spec PC, and we all know that. Microsoft are definitely making a lot of moves in this direction. They are backing DX12 when, to be honest, most of us in the tech industry were giving up hope. Even developers were giving up hope. We were like, well, when are they going to do anything about this? Are they just going to chill? Are they just going to leave DX11 out there forever and a day? And then AMD have started to come out with Mantle, and there were movements with, say, OpenGL, but Microsoft were just really quiet on DirectX. But now, of course, they're releasing DX12. There's a hell of a lot of news regarding that. And several analysts, not just Michael Pachter, but several analysts have said one of the reasons they bought Mojang wasn't because they wanted, you know, to beef up their Xbox division. Instead, these analysts have said the bottom line is the real reason Microsoft bought Mojang is for the ecosystem as a whole, is for mobile, is for Windows, and yes, it will give the Xbox division a leg up as well. Who knows? Most of this could wait for Minecraft 2, or whatever they end up going to be calling it. And it makes sense for them to make a sequel. Not necessarily for the, we can make it exclusives to our platforms, which is definitely a boon and a plus. But the real positive, of course, is the fact that, quite simply put, they'll be able to make the game more their own. Hopefully that doesn't mean a crap ton of microtransactions, but what I was more thinking is improved graphics and so on to make the game even more appealing. Once again, don't fear if you're an Xbox One owner. This is not Microsoft planning to abandon ship. You are going to get a full life cycle out of your console. So if you bought the system on the day of launch, you don't have to worry that in 2 days' time, Microsoft are going to announce, by the way, yeah, sorry, we kind of just are going to be giving up on this. It was cool while it lasted and all, but hey, whatever. Instead, the theory here is that they're just going to one day just say, just let it die out. We're going to be focused on this. And considering that they are pushing their cloud-based technologies, which I've got to admit, from my own personal standpoint, as someone who's been gaming since, like, the early Genesis and even before that, to be honest, I don't like cloud gaming. I think it has its place as servers, but I don't like cloud gaming because I don't like the latency, and I like the hardware being in my living room. Because if a service goes down, if my internet happens to fall over, if the company just says, you know what, screw you, I don't like you, I'm just going to ban you, or if they happen to just go bankrupt, or whatever the reason, you know, even if it's a thunderstorm and your internet falls over, you know, you've still got access to your games, and I like that, because, you know, you could get other situations where, let's say, just for example, the predecessor is better than the sequel, and we all know those games exist. This particularly happened in the SmackDown games. There were a couple of SmackDown games which were quite simply lemons. They just weren't that great, in my personal opinion, anyway, and the opinions of those who I was playing them with. We were just bought them, played them a bit, and said, you know what, the reversal system is too lenient on these ones. It's better to go to the old ones because no one was hitting anyone. Imagine a wrestling game, and every single person was going counter, 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 counter. You can imagine how boring that got. That's not really conducive to an exciting, happy match, is it? You can't lay off the smack-off down if the person just keeps countering your bloody special moves. It's really irritating. So my point being, sometimes it's better, but in a service situation, you might just get the latest game, and that's all you can do about it. So that's one concern, but that's slightly off topic. So yeah, it's a long conversation, this one, and I can understand people not wanting Microsoft to give up the Xbox. I'm someone who owned the original Xbox. I loved the original Xbox, despite the fact that it had some problems. It was a bit clunky and so on, but I loved the original Xbox. So I don't want Microsoft to stop, but I guess it makes sense, and Sony as well might be having the same conversation. I would not be surprised if they're going to say to themselves, well, here's the thing. And then they have that difficult conversation internally. The problem, however, is with Microsoft, they're in a much better situation, a much better position, because with Microsoft, if they lose the gaming division of Xbox, it doesn't hurt them. They've already got a very strong ecosystem with mobile. Yes, they don't have much market share as they could have, but whatever. They can improve on that. They've got the know-how, they've got the funds, and they've got the time to do it. They've got a cloud-based ecosystem already, and that's not going anywhere. That's theirs. Unlike Sony, who are outsourcing to Rackspace and a couple of other companies. And on top of all of this, the biggest one, they have Windows. So they've got these infrastructures. They've basically got the PC market tied up, unless Valve come in or another Linux distribution, possibly Apple, but most likely it's going to be Steam or someone like that, and going to give them a rabbit punch. But most likely they're going to keep the desktop for a long time, particularly as DX12 is making programmers basically orgasm every time they use it. From what I'm hearing, it's really good. And the second reason, Sony are in a bit of financial problems, as I discussed in another video. I'm hoping that they just manage to be fine, though. That's not a good situation either. It's very difficult to predict the future, but we live in very uncertain times. as we always do with technology. But right now there are so many emerging technologies that it's becoming incredibly difficult to even predict 2 years in the future, let alone say 10. Anyway, hopefully you've enjoyed the video. I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye for now.